Am I the asshole for refusing to vacation with people who are crazy about recycling? Last November, my husband and I went on a weekend trip to a cabin in upstate NY rural with some of his cousins. I've met these cousins multiple times, but this was the first time going away. One of his second cousins and his wife in their 40s are extremely intense about recycling. For example, one night there were about 25 people to feed and they refused to use the eco-friendly paper plates I brought. They actually told me off for bringing them, and we all used glass. We also brought a case of waters in plastic bottles which we never drink at home. We have a filter and use glasses, but do on the rare time we go away, and as soon as they saw it they told us to bring it back to the car and that they didn't want to see it again. Everyone else had reusable water bottles. We had to go find a collapsible one that happened to be in our car and share that. They also yelled at me when I didn't drink the last sip of my beer, which was warm since I had been drinking it for 2 hours, and they made me drink it before throwing it away because it wastes cans. Then, when I put the fan in the trash, the cousin's wife playfully yelled at me. I don't know her well at all, even after I explained we aren't allowed to recycle cans in our town. Overall it was just kind of intense for me. We all paid equal shares to stay there, so I'm not sure why they thought they could run the whole thing. We were already kind of outsides, since we don't see these cousins all that often, so it was pretty uncomfortable. I will say I'm very eco-conscious at home. I use all glass, we compost, and we recycle as much as possible. We have an all-organic yard and wear mostly organic clothing made with fair labor practices. However, I felt annoyed because I had to play specifically by their rules, doing what they thought was important. I didn't yell at anyone else for bringing non-organic food despite the fact that we eat organic, because I understood that we're on vacation and other families may not do things the same, so we have to bend a little. The group is trying to plan again for this year and I told my husband I'm not up for going. It was just too stressful and I would feel like I need to be so careful. He got upset with me and said that while they're annoying, it's not a big deal and I should do one weekend for him to see his extended cousins. He says I'm being a bit harsh towards his cousins and making too much of this. He says he's let plenty of things roll off with my family and wishes I would do the same just for this one weekend. I will say that the cousins weren't super nice and laid around mostly watching TV instead of interacting or playing games. So the recycling thing is mainly what sticks in my head from the whole weekend, since there wasn't much else. Now I'm feeling guilty but still really don't want to go. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Let your husband go on the trip without you, no big deal. Either that or go, but tell anyone bossing you around to drop the eco-hassling. It's ridiculous that the cousins think they can order you to finish your beer or share a reusable water bottle. Not the asshole, but also why did you listen to them? I would be like, that's great you don't want a plastic water bottle, but these are for me. Why would you let them tell you do finish your beer? You are a full-grown adult, tell them to gtf from you and pour beer out in front of them. Why are you letting them bully you? Not the asshole, if the in-laws family members make you miserable, then it shouldn't be on you to make happy with them anyway. Compromise only works if both sides are compromising, not one. Frankly, you should have brought up the issues at the time and stood up for yourself. I would have if it was big enough of an annoyance that I wouldn't want to visit them again. I also would have talked about it with the spouse, at least shortly after the trip, so they could reach out to their family about it. They are his family that he wants to visit and wants you to go with him when he could go solo, so he can sort it out. How are you not allowed to recycle aluminium cans in your town? They are one of the most recyclable items you can put in a blue bin, since aluminium is able to be used again and again and again with little waste. Doesn't mean it's free to recycle or doesn't still have emissions associated with it. It's just much easier and cheaper and more environmentally friendly than mining more. Then let him go with his insufferable cousins alone. Not the asshole. Don't go if you don't want to. Your husband should have been sticking up for you. He didn't. The cousins weren't the only jerks. But I almost want to say esh for going along with their demands. WTF is made us? They can't make you. What are they going to do? Destroy your property? Beat you up if you don't? These are all crimes. I wouldn't have followed a single command they attempted to give me. Not the asshole. Why do spouses have to do everything together? I never get the need to drag your significant other to events they don't want to go to and that have little reason for them to be there. This isn't a wedding, funeral, or even dinner with close family, it's cousins that you don't see but once a year. But it's a two-way street. You can't guilt trip him to going to your high school reunions because you don't want to show up alone and then force him to listen to Remember When stories all night long. I will say that the cousins weren't super nice and laid around mostly watching TV instead of interacting or playing games. Electricity creates a lot of waste, and watching TV is bad for the environment. Maybe you can go there and have your own fun? If they want to prioritize being eco-friendly, then so can you. You just have to be more eco-friendly than they are. Not the asshole. Are you an adult? How did they force you drink something you didn't want to? Why do so many people have trouble telling someone to go screw themselves? Man-eyed cash. I say this because we are literally poisoning our earth. I'm a part of that problem too. If someone showed me how to do better, I would take it. The way they approached it was rude too. You are lying. Cans aren't recycled in our town. Bullshit. Cans are the only economical item to recycle, and I can 100% guarantee there is a way to recycle cans in your town. If you have to lie to make your point, you don't have a point. Not the asshole. It's not so much that they are keen on recycling as that you are not compatible, and they did not make you feel welcome. Your husband is wrong to be so unsympathetic. Let him go on the trip while you stay safely away. Not the asshole, but geez, don't be such a pushover. You didn't have to do any of the things they ordered you to do. They are not the boss of you. You should have just told them that you were going to drink your water bottles and dump that last sip of beer whether they like it or not. Your husband is quite the ripe little shit for failing to stand up to them at the time and now blaming you for not wanting to put up with it again. He had his chance to make the trip tolerable for you and chose not to. He has only himself to blame. Not the asshole. It doesn't sound like much of a vacation for you. Your husband can certainly go and spend an eco-friendly weekend with those zealots. If I were you, I'd take my ass to the beach instead. There's no law against married couples taking separate vacations. I'm not sure why they thought they could have run the whole thing. Because apparently you let them. No one can force you to put your bottled water back in the car, ditch your paper plates, or drink the last nasty swig of warm beer. Not the asshole, though, and I wouldn't go again either. And I wouldn't be shy about telling people why, if asked. Are unpleasant to be around. Should be sufficient. You can go and just draw boundaries with them. No, I am not taking my water to the car. No, I am not going to drink warm beer, ma'am. I am a grown-up, please stop treating me like I am your child. I will do what I feel comfortable doing. In essence, tell them to get bent. If it does not work, you can tell your boyfriend you tried. It might work really well and they ask him not to bring you back. ESH. Them for their behavior. You for kowtowing to it. Go, but don't let them be so incredibly overbearing. If they tell you you can't use plastic water bottles, tell them to fuck off. I have no idea why you rolled over so quickly. Also, they're complete morons. Once the water bottles have been packaged, the ecological damage is already done. They exist. You can't unmade them by putting them in a car for a weekend. It's one weekend. Bring your own water bottle. Leave the single-use bottles at home. Have a separate bin for soda and beer cans. Someone can take them home. Or leave the bag outside the main bin and housekeeping can take them to recycle and get the money. It's your husband's family. Suck it up.